A look at stereo bus compression from T.I. to Timberlake. Meet the New Jersey native with a French name, and a real cool look at Wiz Khalifa. All this on this week's edition of Pensado Plays.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Pensado's Place. I'm Dave Pensado. Big shout out to everybody that hit us up on all the different media. We really appreciate it. I'm joined by my co-host, Herb Trawick.
Did you forget who I was?
No, I said my name and just it felt so good. I had to pause for a moment to relish and absorb all of that.
Let's say
you know my ego.
Dave Pensado. But anyways, thanks everybody for joining us. We're glad. We heard a lot from you last time. It was a bunch of good input. We want to make sure that you're in touch with us. We got a live chat running. We got our man Zan over in what we call the corner office. Zan, what's up?
What's up? How you doing, guys?
Well, we're good. You got some questions and stuff for us?
Yeah, I got some lined up, and I'm making sure the people in the chat room are asking as many as they can.
Good deal.
Hey,
so,
Herb,
yeah.
You can also reach us on YouTube.
Right. We can reach us a number of ways. In fact, a couple ways you can hit us is on Twitter, which is our handle is @PensadoPlays. You can also hit us in our email, which is pensadoplays@thisweekend.com. You can go to our Facebook page, and as Dave said, you can...
Yeah, type in the This Weekend channel on YouTube and catch us. Also, while you're there, check out all the other shows, particularly my favorite with Asha and Tim, This Week in Music. And then we're handled by Ustream, right, in terms of the live part of the show. You can catch us live on Ustream.
Absolutely. And let us tell you about one other thing that's a new thing that's in place. It's called Take. You can go to taketake.com. It's a place to share your take on new products. You can also share it with your friends and get some opinions back and forth. It's a new startup. It hasn't launched yet, but you can get an invite. Again, go to taketake.com. You can track your wants and haves, curate your profile. You can share your take, check out the chat room, all your favorite stuff. Always, we're going to be presenting to you new ways to stay in touch and get involved and so on and so forth. Dave, what's going on this week?
Oh, man, Herb, I'm really, really excited. One of my close friends, confidants, and someone I've admired his work for a long time and shared his friendship, Jean-Marie Horvat is on our show today. I might add that's Jean-Marie with a hyphen.
With a hyphen. We all have history, don't we?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Very much so. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks to your comments, we improved Into the Lair this week, although I wasn't sure there was room for improvement, but my man Zan Nakari over here actually improved it for you. We've got an Into the Lair today about parallel compression. We're going to involve Jean-Marie with that. We're going to break down the Wiz Khalifa video, Black and Yellow. I'm going to give you a little insights into the mix process. And Herb, how about CO?
CO, corner office. Again, hit our chat room. We're going to answer your questions and get back to you. And remember, that's an ongoing process after the show. We'll try and stay in touch with you all during the week. So Zan will have that handled. And let's get the show started. What's coming up, Dave?
We go into the Lair next, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, can I have I got time to give a little quick footnote?
Sure.
As you know, I mix records for a living. We kind of had a rough week this week on the mix schedule, and we put together Into the Lair yesterday. In the next Into the Lairs, we've got some of our technical problems improved on. We're learning as we go at this, but we really appreciate your support. We listened to your comments, and we've tried to implement as many of those this week. This week's Into the Lair is about stereo bus compression. And Kenny, if you're ready to roll that, just roll it any time. I'll just keep talking, and when we come back, I'll give a little footnote about that. What's up? Welcome to Into the Lair. Thank you so much for all the comments, suggestions, criticisms, everything that you sent about the first Into the Lair segment. We listen. I read them all. As long as there's this many or more each week, I give you my word, I'll read everyone, and no matter how many they get, I'll make an effort to read everyone. Today, as promised, we're talking about stereo bus compression. If you hear me say two bus, I use that phrase interchangeably with a two bus. We're going to break it down into about 3 general areas. I'm going to go over first why we even need compressors on the stereo bus. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to listen for when you do implement a compressor on the stereo bus. And then I'm going to tell you how I do it. I'm going to tell you how some of my friends do it. don't tell them I told you those things. And then I'm going to show you a couple of examples with plugins and the real world. So let's jump right into it. I'm making this up as I go along, so if any of this is not true, just save the ink and bandwidth. It's just stuff I make up. I'm guessing that we probably started seeing a need for compressors early on, back during the days of mono radio, when everybody wanted to have the strongest signal possible, and they used a compressor or a limiter, and I'll explain the difference, to make sure that the radio signal didn't get above a certain level. The transmitters in the radio stations, I grew up in a radio station. I didn't grow up in it, but I visited my uncle's radio station a lot. When they get past a certain level, they start distorting, so to keep your level as loud as possible. Have you ever wondered why commercials were louder than the show? The main reason is those guys have some incredible compressors, and what they're able to do is get the level of everything just maxed out. I have a compressor over here. In a minute, Zan might show it to you. It's a Gates stay level. That's straight out of an old radio station. All right, let's jump into the what to listen for, and I'll go a little more into detail as to the why. Basically, what we're trying to do is compress a broad amount of information, volume information, level, dynamic information, into a smaller, think of it as into a smaller space, so that we can give the listener the impression that everything is louder, bigger, fatter, more. Fatter is with a PH. One of the things that you will find on most limiters and compressors is the ratio knob. Now, some are preset, like the LA2A, the Gates I spoke about earlier, L1, that kind of by Waves plug-in. But when you get past 20-to-1 ratio, that's usually the classic definition of limiting. So a limiter is a compressor that's set 20-to-1 ratio or higher. Now, if you don't understand ratio and things like that, if you want me to go back and do a basic about the basic things, let me know. I'll go back and do that. This is my default setting that I bring up in Pro Tools. This was given to me by Tal Hertzberg, really, really good engineer. You see him with a lot of credits everywhere. I very rarely leave it this way because everything's different. So we need to make some alterations usually. But this is the start. You can see this. Okay, let me show you a little bit how that sounds. Okay, we started with a pretty low signal level, but you can still get the idea. I like to knock off, right in here, I like to knock off around 3 dB, and then just grab this down. This is, sometimes I use the automatic release, and then sometimes I set it manually. But that gives you an idea of basically how I use it. Obviously, what you want to do is when you put compression on your stereo bus, you want to see the before and after. You want to hear the before and after, and then you make a comparison or a judgment call which sounds better. For years, I would take the compressor off and like it better without it, and then I started realizing that, well, let's make this a fair test. So you have to turn and make up the amount of gain that you lose, the same amount that you reduce those peaks. You have to make that up with the gain control. That's why every compressor has a gain control. And then you can more accurately get an AB. I'm going to show you what I mean by makeup gain. Like as I compress more, I lose a little volume. So now, see, I'm losing volume. So now we're going to make up that volume with the output gain. There we go. Another reason that we would use it is sometimes compression can be thought of not as a tool but as an effect. Sometimes you might want, in dance music, we use compression to kind of enhance some of the pumping elements. On stereo bus compression, less is more. Several of my good friends I just spoke to recently about getting some information because I wanted to give you up-to-date information, and pretty much to a person, from Chris Lord-Alge to Jason Joshua, everybody, mostly said the same thing. Just kind of kiss the needle. Just let it move the smallest amount possible. Less is more when it comes to the stereo bus. But a little trick, when you're trying to figure out the release time, crank the threshold down stupid, and then you can hear it pumping like we're about to show you pumping in a minute. And when it's pumping, you can set the timing to where the release sounds like in time, and then let the threshold come back up to where you're just barely kissing it, and that'll help you set the timing. Neat little trick.
Got a gift for you, Dave.
What?
Sebastian.
Sebastian, what's up?
Come on, buddy.
Come on in.
How you doing?
Guys, this is my friend Sebastian.
How you doing?
I just finished, can I say?
Yeah, of course.
I just finished Gloria Trevi, Paulina Rubio with Sebastian. Be looking for that at your record store real soon. Do you have a release date, Sebastian?
Probably March. The single is out right now, but March, I think, is the release for the album.
Great. Man, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Just wanted to thank you for everything, and, you know, we'll be talking soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Hey, guys, what can I say? I got that ace production staff. I'd like you to meet Zan Nakari, who's my right-hand man. He's really helping us a lot. If you ever see him out on the street and want me to do a show on something, I trust Zan's instincts about what to do. Drew Adams, my assistant here at Larrabee, I trust Drew also. Drew's turning out to be one of my favorites, and he's giving us a hand today. Hey, Drew, I was real slick walking in front of the camera, but I was trying to find ways to stay off camera as much as possible. That's as good a way as any. So let's get back to this. If you see if things like your snare start changing, you might want to increase your attack time. In other words, you let a few more of the transients through before the compressor's threshold catches the signal and brings it down by the amount, half the amount of the ratio that you set at. I don't know if half's the right term, but a 2 to 1 brings it down 1 dB for every 2 dB above threshold. So look that stuff up. That's kind of mundane stuff. You can find that anywhere on the internet. I have a limited amount of time, and I want to get you as much information as possible today. If you want details, let me know. I'll go into details about specific things. Now, so we've covered loss of transients, pumping. Sometimes you'll find that when you add compression, you lose a little bit of the low end. I haven't done any experiments, but I got a feeling that you're not really losing low end as much as you're gaining top end. Guys, listen, look, I know I'm all over the place today. I tried to pack as much in as I can. I'm listening to you. When you tell me you want more meat, I heard you. I'm trying to do it within the framework I've got. Also, too, I want to point out to you some sources of information. Michael Brower's website, I learned a lot going to that website recently in the last year or two. Go check that website, follow some of the links, read some of what Michael says. I think he really understands compression. Some records to listen to. Check out Manny American. I love the way Manny uses compressors in a very musical way on his stereo bus. Jack Joseph Puig, very musical. Chris Lord-Alge, you got to check what Chris does. He's the master of compression on every usage of it that there is. Jason Joshua, I love what Jason's doing, very musical. He's the new kid on the block, and he's using compressors in a really nice way. And like I mentioned earlier, I like what Serban does on Dynamite. Check that out. Really good stuff. So, listen, thank you so much, and we're going to move on to the next segment. Take it away, Dave. Oh, hey, what's up? I was slick, wasn't it, guys? I'm really excited today. I've been wanting to talk to Jean-Marie for so long, and we really have a huge budget for guests here, so I enticed him with a big amount of money to come by today.
Your bag of shells.
You didn't try to cash that check, did you?
It bounced, man. It's like, how do you think I got down? I bounced on the check.
We bounced it to you. That's fast.
Almost all of you know this for sure, but I'm going to remind you because I'm so proud of my friend. Jean-Marie has done Destiny's Child. He's done Beyonce, including the live album. We recently just worked on a Keisha Cole record together with Ron Fair.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake, T.I.
Yeah, Justin's.
You know who we forgot?
Family.
A little a little king of pop named Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
There's name dropping today, aren't we, Dave? Hey!
How many different Michael Jackson's projects have you worked on? You worked on quite a few, haven't you?
You know what? First and foremost, Dave, congratulations on this show. It's absolutely
thanks,
very informative, and you know, I got all my people watching it and really supporting the show, and I love what you're doing.
Thanks, man.
Now, as for MJ, I mean, that was my inaugural into the music industry. That was my first mixed credit. Was Dangerous, from Dangerous all the way up to the next record.
Wait. Michael Jackson was your inaugural mix.
Basically, what happened?
So you started low, and then
yeah, you know what, man? I just couldn't take it now. I was actually a runner. It happened within a year time.
But
so,
you came up under Tony, right? Tony Maserati.
Tony was the one who brought me in the room. I met Teddy Riley 3 weeks later. Teddy loved my vibe. He heard this rough mix that I did, and he stopped the session and listened to it. 6 months, 7 months later, he said, I want you to work with me. And next thing I know, after Japan, I went to do Michael Jackson. That was 1 year later. I was like,
wow.
Man, I was scared as hell, man.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, it's a city kid. You know, dreams do come true. That's what they say, right?
True.
That's great. Jean-Marie, I know you pretty good, so I want to ask you some questions. Would you be comfortable talking about your days with Teddy? You know I'm a Teddy Riley fanatic.
That's my brother. I love Teddy Riley. I love to.
I have ripped off so much from that man. I should send him a commission for every mix I do. Do you know anything about how? And I'm throwing this to you cold. Do you know anything about the Fix on the Blackstreet record? That song, the Fix.
You know, I wasn't a part of that, but I do know of it because we talked constantly about it. Because I was actually doing my thing out in L.A. when he was still in Virginia Beach. Mm-hmm. So I do know a little bit. Throw it at him. What you need to know?
No, I'll tell you what. I don't want to
Which
put
one,
you
the
on the
remix
spot.
or the remix is hotter than I feel. The remix actually
remix.
introduced that new jack rock sound, which, you know, as you know, I've been dabbling.
Yeah.
And we started that when I first started working in Virginia Beach. The remix, he really wanted to make a statement that you don't pigeonhole people. So you just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but the Fix. That was just an amazing song from Gideo.
Oh, man.
I mean, but his production, he's such a stellar producer. It's not that fast production. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing, and thank you for bringing up Justin's name, because Justin feels almost the same old school way, is that we take time to do records.
Precisely.
Now it's like everybody's trying to force to get stuff out. And you know what? That's the haps right now, you know what I'm saying? But back, to make a classic record like The Fix or Michael Jackson record, or anything like even just talking about Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake is one of the biggest stars that we have out right now. It's classic.
I'm going to cut you off, Jean-Marie, because you and I can talk this all day long, but I want this segment to be about you. Yeah. Is there what records do you want the people out there to check out that you feel they can really get a feel for who Jean-Marie is? Like if an A&R guy's watching this and they're not sure if they should hire you, first hire him, and then secondly, what should they check out to know the classic Jean-Marie sound? Well,
you know, Dave, it's kind of funny because a lot of people don't know what I've done, you know, when they say, wow, you did that? Wow, you did that? Like the Trey song, Say Out. It took almost 6-7 months. People didn't know I mixed that. People didn't know I mixed Reba McEntire.
No, I didn't know you mixed Reba McEntire.
Reba McEntire, yeah.
Holy cow.
And, you know, the reason why Teddy hired me is because I used to be a metalhead that was into rap music. I mean, I'm a city kid.
Right.
I grew up in the city.
Right.
So I made the drums smack, the ones and two, make it grimy, make it feel right. And a lot of people don't know about the rock stuff, but I got an album that's coming out right now that, you know, that was working with Justin and Rob Knox. It's called Free Soul.
Wow.
And it's a
Free Soul?
Free Soul.
Oh.
It's
Do I get a free copy of Free Soul?
Of course you can get a free copy.
Let me ask you a question. You said you make the drums knock. You're known to a lot of us that do this for a living as the cat to check out and make sure that when we see your name on a record that we're not getting totally creamed by what you do. Give me, if possible, if you can't, give me like a little quick 10-second take on how you get the drums to knock. First of all, I'm going to answer the question for you partly. You want them to knock, and you do whatever you can do to get them to knock.
Right.
Is there a go-to process you use?
Yep.
We probably don't have time for technical detail, but philosophically, what's your approach to getting the drums to knock?
And I'm glad you brought the philosophy. That's what it is, the philosophy of mixing. It's like a philosophy of life. It's the way you walk and talk. I don't start with the drums first.
Really?
Because I think what people tend to forget is that when you listen to music, you listen to melody and the structure of it. The ones and twos, it's like a book. You get you look at the book.
Ones and twos, the downbeat.
Right, and the vocal is really what sells the mix. So I start with either percussions first with the vocals, or vocals and then keyboard stuff, and the last thing I do is drums.
Are you more informed then once you've done the rest of the stuff?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your drum sounds at that point in time,
Yeah.
you got more sense of what they should be to make them.
I do a lot of enhancing. It's like what me and you are known for. We're boutique mixers, and it's like they come to us because we're the last resort to make it happen, make it pop, make it crack, and the philosophy of enhancing the sounds is what we're known for. And it's like, I try to beat out the last mix. The last mix was my worst mix. The new mix is the hot mix, and I just keep doing it that way.
It's an interesting point you bring up. I mean, you guys know, the audience may not know, but most of my career has been as a manager, and I will tell you,
We go back.
and we do go back. We both do, and I absolutely have used you both and used Dave a lot, and I absolutely had that philosophy. It was a last resort. I needed to come to a doctor who was a specialist and could save what we needed to save before too many hands got into it. So I always wanted to keep the mix process really pristine, try to keep executives away from you guys so you could do what you did, because I thought what you added to the record, past the artist and producer, was as important as their contributions.
I speak for Jean-Marie. That's why we love you, Herb.
That's how we got a show.
Check this out. Tell me, and make sure I save room for the Arotone question for him. But yesterday, Tricky Stewart dropped by, and I was talking to him, and we were talking about how years back, 10 years ago, the mix was an addition to the production process. Now the mix is part of the production process. Before, we would take a production and make the production sound like a record.
Right.
Now, are you finding that the demo is incredibly important, because now our job is not to add to the production, but to finish the production? And how do you approach that?
Well, you see, a lot of times, because everybody has a Pro Tools rig or everybody has a Logic rig, and
You're a Logic user, right?
I'm very much a Logic user because I do production as well, and I try to help out as much as I possibly can help out.
And I'm going to throw a footnote in. He's an amazing producer, guys.
Oh,
He's
thank
an
you,
amazing
man.
producer.
Thank you so much.
I said amazing. Sorry, Herb. Do I get
How
fined for that?
about we use genius? The genius.
genius producer.
The genius. Nah. Most recently, I worked with a group producer named Polo the Don, and we did this mix for Lloyd called "Lay It Down," and it's doing really well.
Good.
But he says, "John, I really like what I have, but I want your thing on it." Now, how the hell do you take something that's great and make it better? So my solution is just really get into it and say, well, this is what he should have done, or this is my expertise here. Maybe add the distressors here, add a plug-in here or there. But he is so, it's really funny because they do call us. We are a handful of cats that really go in and do it. You can get any mixer. There's so many great mixers out. But there's only a handful of us, and I'm proud to say, knock on wood, I'm still around. We're all still around. You mentioned Manny in your last segment, who's a great friend of ours, and Tony Maserati and all those cats. But
Jack Joseph Puig.
Jack Joseph Puig, right? It's like when they go, you get a Dave Pensado mix, but when they call me, it says Jean-Marie mix. I'm going to screw it up. That's the bottom line. I'll do anything to make it hit. I'll put an ash can, anything in that thing to make it work. An M80.
Speaking of ash cans.
Don't mess with my Oratones, man. Man. All right, lay down me. Come on now, baby.
Zan can verify this because Zan has followed your career too. But when I think Jean-Marie Horvat, I think, by the way, there's only one of you, not Horvat.
Right,
Horvat.
That's right.
And when I think Jean-Marie, I think Oratones. How the hell do you get that massive drum sound, low end, out of ash cans?
Dude, it's about the philosophy of it. If you can make those mugs sound great on those Oratones, you got a hot mix. Can I say ass?
Absolutely.
Ass, okay. Yeah. It's a hot ass mix, It's bottom line, If you can make them.
But how do you, I just bought a pair of your old Artones, by the way, from Michelangelo.
Man.
Yeah, I did. And did I not call you?
Yes,
and
you
I
did.
asked you for recommendations for power
amps,
amplifiers
yes.
and stuff like that. And I found a Bryson 2B.
Bryson 4B, right.
But I used a 2B, and because I'm only half as good as you with the Artones, so I don't
God.
need that. But how do you, not just on Artones, but on NS10s, which aren't full, have the bottom frequencies involved, how do you deal with like 808s and the low end on kick drums? Because on the Artones, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not hearing a whole lot below 200,
Yes,
are you?
you can.
How do you do that? Explain that to me.
It's basically, all right, you're a guitar player like I am, right? We're musicians first and foremost. How do you pick a guitar amp? Or listen to the calls of the speakers from like the Bogner or a Marshall or a Diesel head. It's the same thing. It's like when you listen to it, it's like when you have the vocals sitting just right there, and then you get that kick drum in there, you can dial it in because it fluctuates the frequency or farts out these things don't fart out. It takes a lot of pressure.
I think we just had a Beavis and Butthead moment, but I'm not going to go for it.
It's just like, to me, I just think as long as you hear that fluctuation coming out, you can drive them puppies, man. Don't be get at it.
Do I have your word you'll come back and do an Into the Layer with me, and let's talk about how to get low end from little
have
speakers?
A field trip.
A field trip?
You come to my
What is
house.
your studio called?
I'm at the Boom Boom Room.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought you meant the studio at your home.
No, I moved that, man.
Oh, that's right. You're at the Boom Boom Room.
Yeah, it's like I live up in the sticks a little bit, so
Check my BlackBerry. Oh, wow.
We got Wiz Khalifa on deck. Let's tee up
I'm
playback.
really excited about this.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me.
Can you stick around?
I would love to stick around.
Guys, we got more coming up with Jean-Marie in a little bit. This segment is called Playback. It's where you scared me, Herb.
What is it you do? What, my face?
No, I saw my face. I'm like, holy cow, I'm on TV. But what I try to do in this segment is take a mix that we all know, that we're all familiar with, and kind of break it down. I keep picking really good mixes, so I don't really have anything negative to say. Maybe you can help me find a really crummy mix that we can tear down in the future. But what I want to do with this mix is I want to point out some things to listen for. Kenny's going to run this for us, and then I'll come back and explain a little more. Let me set you up for this before we run it, Kenny. This is Black and Yellow by Wiz Khalifa. First time I heard this, I flipped out. I loved it. I worked on Wiz Khalifa's first album, and I got to know him pretty well. Benji, is the owner of his label, executive producer, good friend of mine also. So I was really excited about this. One of the things that I want you to listen for is from the very start, this thing hits like gangbusters. He introduces the hook, and that hook is it's like a virus. Throughout the course of the song, he pounds it in your head as good as any hook I've heard. Then after the hook is introduced, the drums come in, and they sound like Jean-Marie drums, although I know Jean-Marie didn't do it, but the drums sound amazing. Darn, I said amazing again. The drums sound just huge. After the drums, you hear the vocal. What I want you to try and learn from this vocal is listen to the vocal. It's doubled, and in some spots it's tripled. That means he recorded the same thing twice, and the effect gives it the effect of just being a little bigger and a little fatter than just tracking one take of the vocal. Listen for that. Then we come back into the hook. That's hammered in your head. Pay attention to the lyrics. One of the things I've always liked about Wiz, lyrics and Wiz equal Liz, is his lyrics are really, really, really top notch. And then there's like an 80s keyboard in the verse that you wouldn't expect a rapper to have. And then in the second verse, we're going to come back and describe that. It's a little different. Listen for that. Although Kenny, we might not get that far, but also too, pay attention to the fact that this is a rap song, but the vocal genre is treated like a pop song.
Yep.
It's got a little reverb, some really cool delays, and then the hook for days. Are we ready to run the video, guys? Sure. Kenny? All right, thanks.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, stripe, yellow paint. I hear they scared of it, but them pros ain't. Soon as I hit the club,
It goes full orchestral on the second verse. It's like, it reminds me of some classic West Coast stuff right there. Also, we can fade that out, guys, when you get a chance. I'm going to talk over it. The second verse goes orchestral. The keyboards are a little different than the first verse. This is not only just a production technique, but it's a mix technique. Sometimes you might be given both keyboards, and you might choose one for the first verse. You might choose a different combination for the second verse. The breakdown, pay attention to the breakdown when you hear this again at home, because you can really hear the effects on the vocal, and you might can steal those and use those for your own mixes and productions. Those vocal effects are pretty amazing, and then the song ends up with a little tiny toy piano thing. Let's check this
got a
out.
call from my jeweler, this just in. And women love me cause I'm messing with their best friends. Not a lesbian, but she a freak though. This ain't for one night, I'm shining all week, bro. I'm sipping Clico and rocking yellow diamonds. So many rocks up in my watch, I can't tell what the time is. Got a pocket full of big faces. Throw it up cause everybody that I'm with tailored. Yeah, you know what it is.
Man, Stargate. I've done a couple of mixes. I've been lucky enough to do a couple of mixes for those guys. One of the best kick drum sounds I ever heard. It's probably the first time I've ever not touched a kick drum in my life.
But dude, Stargate.
Stargate.
On a Wiz Khalifa track.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's
Those
amazing.
guys are amazing.
Great comment.
Amazing.
I agree.
Amazing.
I agree. Herb, sorry about amazing. I just can't stop saying the word amazing.
I'm not mad at you for using it. It's fine, absolutely. As a matter of fact, amazingly, in the corner office, we got some questions coming up. I think the questions are amazing.
He's slick, ain't he,
They're
Jean-Marie?
from amazing people.
Great segue.
So
We got a lot of people in the chat room, and I'll start with bass. And the chat room wants to know, do you ever change sounds you don't think will sit well in the mix?
Yes.
Kind of what we're paid to do, isn't it,
Yeah.
Jean-Marie? Can I take this real quick?
Please do.
Jean-Marie and I both feel that we're not paid for our engineering skills, we're paid for our taste. And then every client is different. We have clients that want us to interject our taste onto what they do, and we want clients to keep our damn hands off of what they do. And so we have to be part psychologist, part whatever.
Be like the nanny of the mix session.
What else you got?
Matt in the chat room wants to know how you keep the bass sound to stay consistent.
Oh.
Watch it to the layer.
Yeah, it's basically it's all about a carpenter's toolbox almost. It's like you got to make it work. You know, it's like.
What's your go-to compressor on bass? Out of the box, into the box.
I don't.
You don't compress your bass?
It's all about balancing. I actually add more.
If
more
you
bass.
weren't using our tones, do you think you could hear the bass and then compress it more?
you know what it is? It's like, it's like going back to the philosophy again. It's like, it's about how the song attracts to me. So it's like I might have the kick drum come before the bass when I EQ stuff. But normally, pretty much, I think the last process is the bass, because it takes up the most frequency of the speaker.
Can I answer?
Yeah, yeah.
I've been experimenting with the McDSP 6030 plug-in for bass, and then I
That's
also
nice.
like the Waves, the one Chris did for the 1176,
Yeah,
the
it's
CLA
actually a nice
76.
one, yeah.
It's got the blue stripe version. That's really good on bass.
What
Herb,
else
you
you
want to
got?
take a stab at this?
I usually work with the 1086 Twitter.
No, what's
And
that A7 Twizzle flanger?
The
that
Twizzle
you
flanger,
use?
but
Yeah.
that's
I
a
thought you used the
secret.
flux capacitor.
No, I did back during the movies.
I got to tell you,
And Michael J. Fox and I
Herb,
talked about
Herb was like, I'm not good at this, let's face it. So Herb was trying to straighten me out one day, and he does some notes for me. He says, yeah, don't forget to mention the A7 Twizzle flanger. I almost lost
it's
it.
a secret. It goes back.
Is
What
that
else you
with your
got?
cowbell or without?
I usually use it with the cowbell,
Okay,
but
cool.
depends.
That's right, you playing me in cowbell.
Okay,
Kill it.
we're having too much fun. Stop this
All
fun
right.
thing.
Yellow 1 2 3 4 5 wants to know, how do you learn to hear compression? Like, is there a trick to get
Yellow,
better at hearing?
I'm going to give you an answer you don't want to hear. I'm still confused by compression. I'm blessed because, like, I ran into Chris Lord-Alge at the AES show this year, and the first question I asked him is, Chris, explain to me how you put compression on the stereo bus, because a lot of times I put it on the stereo bus, I think I'm changing music as we know it. I have my assistant dial Mix Magazine for an interview. I take it off for a second, and I'm like, holy cow, I like it better without it. I asked Manny American. I asked Tony Maserati. I asked Jack Joseph Puig. And what was his name, Zan?
Matt wants to know.
Matt, what I can tell you is, if you buy a Kobe Bryant video tomorrow to learn to play basketball, do you expect to learn to be as good as Kobe in a day? It takes years of this stuff to try and learn, but you can shorten that time by watching Into the Lair, by hanging out with Jean-Marie, by reading. There's a lot of great websites. Into the Lair, I mentioned Michael Brower. Herb's telling me to wrap it up. But my point is this. Take some of the techniques you've learned, experiment, and the more you do it, the better you'll get. And when you figure it out, you know where to find me. Let me know exactly what you figured out, because I'm still working on it too.
Zan, give us one last question.
Actually, your favorite, Dave, Asha K is...
Asha!
She's online. She wants to know if there are any
Asha.
artists that you haven't worked with that you'd like to.
Jean-Marie Horvat. Gosh, you know, didn't she ask me that on her show?
I think she did, but she's trying to get a rise out of you.
Oh, okay. I think, well, I'd like to work with Asha again. Asha, you're a sweetheart. I love you. Tim, not so much. But when you see me look that way, I'm looking at the staff guys. That was pretty funny. Not me, but their response to what I said.
Can we do one more, Dave? This is a popular one.
Yeah, now give me a chance to really give a serious answer to that question.
What's your favorite compressors on kicks, whether it's plug-in or hardware?
That's the easiest question I'm going to get all day. DBX 160 XT. End of the conversation for me. I got thrown off because Jean-Marie's laughing at my choice. Not the 160X, not the 160A, your favorite, Herb, but the 160 XT. You're going to laugh, but I knock off about that much on the LEDs, and I use a ratio of 6:1, and the attack time and release time are set. Take it, Jean-Marie, you got 5 seconds. All right, Jean-Marie, we really appreciate that response. No, I'm kidding, go ahead.
You know what? It all varies, Dave. I mean, I love the 160 XT across the snares. That's hot.
Yeah, I use on snares too.
But you know, I tell you guys, I really love Trans X. Trans X, man.
Waves,
that Waves plug. You know, obviously we're Waves guys,
Jason
but
Joshua hit me to that.
Oh, I've been using that for like the last 2 years, and it just gives it enough. But ultimately, guys, it's really whatever's clever. You know, it's like the distress is actually hot.
One last thing. This is a good way to tie this all up. You showed me parallel compression a long time ago. Who's the caller?
That was from Dave for the kick. Yeah,
Dave. Herb, remind me to write these names down next time. But Dave, I've recorded an Into the Lair about parallel compression. You might want to take a look at. We'll let you know when that's coming up. But that's a good way to have your cake and eat it too, because you can preserve the integrity of the original sound, but you can compress a copy of that sound, get what you want, and add that back in. I got to give a shout out to my friend Bob Power. Bob is like the godfather of us all. Bob did Low End Theory by Tribe. He did Erykah Badu, D'Angelo, and
he's the epitome of New York sound.
I don't know who invented that technique, but he's the one that I kind of, after I learned it from you, I did some backwards research. And
we learned it from New York style mixers. I mean, I'm a New York guy, you know.
Yeah.
That's New York sounds.
Time to get out of here.
Oh my gosh.
So soon.
Hey man,
Brother.
thank you. What a pleasure.
Love you guys, man.
Good to
Love
see
you,
you,
Dave.
man.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
man. God bless
We
you
made
for
the
the
show.
man.
All right, guys, it's flame time. Go for it. We're ready. I need my glasses for this, Herbie. Is it okay if I get serious for a second?
Absolutely, sure.
As those of you that keep up with my career, both of you, I love philosophy. I'm going to read you a quote by an anthropologist. Dave, why an anthropologist on a show about mixing? Because everything in life affects your mixing. I promise you that. And this particular anthropologist is Joseph Campbell. He's passed now, but one of the brightest human beings ever to have lived. I'm going to leave you with this. If you have the guts to follow the risk, life opens up all the way, life opens up all along the line. Follow your bliss, the thing that really gets you deep in the gut and that you feel is your life. Doors will open up. See you next week.
Follow us on Twitter. Bye. Follow us on Twitter.